are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you you could melt a man's heart by using just your words? What if I also told you those same words could make you get better treatment from him while simultaneously bringing the two of you closer together. If that sounds amazing to you, I'm glad, because on today's show, we're going to be discussing 5 man-melting phrases that make a guy fall for you. That way, your man can be deeply enchanted by you while you get the benefit of being in a happy relationship in ways, and he'll be attracted to you in ways that even he doesn't understand. Okay? Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so I know you're here present and actively participating. Okay? I hope you're going to be participating today. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope it's a good day for you. We got Trina here, we got Zyra here, we got Rogue here, we got Naomi here, Jay here, Matt here, we got Sophia here, we got Reese here, Emma is here in the TikTok chat, and of course we have our 3 TikTok moderators, Sharice, SH, and Scotty here. I don't know if I saw Sharice though, but SH and Scotty are here. Welcome all of you beautiful people. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see we got Delilah, we got Kayla. I seen we have Ivy, one of our amazing channel members is here. Nicole, one of our amazing channel members, always donating. Nicole is here as well. We have Jazz is here. Mary is here. Irina is here. Who else? Lola is here. And we have a super chat already, which comes from SM, which I will get to in just a moment. Okay, so welcome all you beautiful people. It's so good to see you and spend this time with you. Let's get started on number 1. Okay, I like to hop right into it. Not too much on the intro. Okay, let's get this thing started. I need a better eraser. This eraser not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, it's not doing its job. Number 1, okay, we're classes in session, get your notes out. So essentially how we're gonna break this down here. I wanna give you a quick explanation of how we're gonna break this down here, okay? So today, what I'm essentially gonna be doing is as I give you each and every one of these phrases, we're going to break down the purpose of that phrase, right? Because you're not just going to go back and repeat exactly what I say like a Tweety bird, all right? We want you to actually learn what's going on here, learn how the men think and receive things so we can understand why delivering this phrase in this way at this time will have the most impact on the man that you're with, okay? So when I explain each and every phrase to you, we're also going to explain the purpose of that phrase. And then after I go through the purpose of that phrase, I'm then going to go through an explanation of some common errors or misconceptions of that phrase. That way, each and every phrase, you understand why it's important and what you're trying to accomplish here. Not just hearing me say it and going back and repeating it to some guy you meet on the street, okay? That's not going to work. Now, our first phrase has to do with taking the lead, okay? So I'm going to write out the phrase here for you. So the phrase here that we're going to be discussing as it pertains to taking the lead, you are going to say, okay? So this phrase is going to be, I love when you take charge, right? So I want you to understand with every phrase, like I said, there's a purpose to it. These aren't purposeless. I want you to understand with this phrase, you're trying to accomplish something which with not just this one, but each and every one of these phrases that we're going to be discussing today. Now, the theme of what we're going to be discussing today, we want these phrases to get you more of what you want from that man in your relationship. So we're actually going to be simultaneously getting you what you want in the relationship, but also melting his heart, making him more fond of you, touching him in places that he's never been touched before. And I really mean that. Okay. And so we want to do both of those at the same time. Now, there's a purpose to this phrase. It's not just saying, you know, I love when you take charge for no reason. Okay. I'm going to tell you what we're trying to inspire here. Okay. So when we look at the purpose, right? What you're trying to do here is you're trying to encourage this man to take action. Why are you trying to encourage your man or the guy you're talking to take action? Because we want him in his masculine energy. And one of your superpowers as a woman is you can help inspire or be that spark plug that pushes a guy over the edge to have him doing exactly what he needs to be doing as a man, right? And with your words and in the way that you treat him or approach him, you can definitely bring more of this type of energy out of him, or you can zap him of that energy. So I want you to understand that there's a purpose to saying I love when you take charge. You're trying to get him encouraged, feeling good about the idea and the prospect of taking, action in the relationship. And what I mean by taking action, I mean actually being purposeful, right? And intentional in his relationship with you, that he is not just sitting back, relaxing and thinking everything's all good. I don't really need to do anything. In fact, I'd rather do the bare minimum, right? We don't want the men that you're dating to be in the mind frame that I would love to do the bare minimum. So what are we going to do with this phrase? Of course, we want to melt his heart. We want to make him feel good, bring you guys closer together. But we also want to accomplish something for you, which is having you be able to be in your feminine energy because you're encouraging him to be in his masculine energy where he actually is taking action. So what are you doing with this phrase? You're encouraging him to take action, right? Does that make sense? Zena says, but sometimes they want us to take action. Of course. So precisely, I'm so glad that you said that, Zena, because now, right, we're going to get to some common errors, all right? So one of the most common errors, right, you don't want to make it seem as if you're incapable, right? Or of making decisions. I should even be more specific. Did I even spell that right? I don't think I spelled decisions right. It's okay. We're not in spelling class. We're in men class, all right? So you don't want to make the mistake of presenting it to a man in a way where you make it sound like or make it feel like you are incapable of making decisions. We want it to be presented as, oh no, I can make decisions for myself. I can take action if need be, but I appreciate you taking action in our relationship and in general, okay? Right? And the reason you want to appreciate this, right? Because this makes him feel more like a man, right? Ah, manly man. Oh, wow. You see, you love when I take out. I really am the man, aren't I? Yeah, I am the man. I really do be doing this, right? When you encourage and uplift that, you now get him in the energy where he now feels like he wants to do this more because it's like an ego boost. See, ego can be a very bad thing, but if you understand how ego works for men, you can use it to your advantage to get a lot of good things. And so when it comes to some of the common errors that you're going to make, you don't want to present this as if, hey, you making decisions is so great because I really couldn't make decisions if it wasn't for you making those decisions, right? If it wasn't for your intelligence, I would just be so dumb that I wouldn't be able to do anything with my life. That's not how we want to present this, okay? We want to present this as in the times where you do take a step forward, the times where you do take action, the times where you are proactive. I see you, I recognize that behavior, and I love / like / appreciate that behavior from you because I notice it and I want to see more of it. You're essentially saying I want to see more of this because I really like it. But when you use your words, the men receive that as, oh yeah, I am being the man. And a lot of times when men feel like they've been the man, it encourages them or it makes it easier for them to continue to be or become the man or grow into the man, right? Or do more of that thing. basically, essentially, right? Does that make sense to you guys so far, right? And the other thing here, I think like it was Zena that said earlier, when she talked about, oh, well, some men, they want us to take action. Precisely. Some men that you meet, and we talk about those type of men in the Players Club all the time, they want you to be the one that takes action. We are not worried about those men. And this is where you have to use discernment, meaning you just have to be capable of understanding the context and the time and place when this is appropriate, because not in every relationship or situationship or with a random person is this going to be an appropriate statement to make where you're actually going to melt his heart or do anything, okay? When a guy isn't being proactive in your relationship, when he's showing you very low effort, when he barely cares about you, when he's talking to 8 other girls while dating you, you don't want to be saying, I love when you take charge, right? It's not going to have the same effect. And he's going to be confused because then he's going to think, are you so stupid that you don't realize that I'm never taking charge in this relationship? Why are you saying this? Okay. All I do is play video games and show you the absolute bare minimum in our relationship. Why are you saying you love when I take charge, right? So you have to also grasp the concept. Like I said, this isn't about just repeating what I tell you like a Tweety bird and not actually taking in what the reasoning and the purpose of these statements are. And then also being able to be intelligent enough to decipher when would this be appropriate versus when is this inappropriate, okay? Going up to strangers and saying, I love when you take charge is very highly inappropriate, okay? People might call the police on you if you start talking to strangers like that, okay? We don't want to do that. But when you start building a relationship with a man and you actually see these quality traits, you see this live in the flesh, then then at particular times in your relationship, it's good to throw these in here where you can actually touch him in a way that he hasn't been touched before. No diddy. All right, let's go on to the next point. Okay, does that make sense to you guys so far? Do you guys have any questions about that? I hope that was pretty clear, okay? You'll notice with all of these phrases, like I said, you're really gonna have to do your own deciphering of when this is appropriate and when this is inappropriate, okay? I know that all of you are in slightly different situations, right? And that's okay. But you have to be the one to decide when this is appropriate and when it's not, right? I can't be the one to tell you every single moment or every single situation in which this will be appropriate, but these all do work when used in the appropriate context, all right? So, number 2 has to do with trust, okay? So, number 2's phrase. I don't even know why I capitalized that. I shouldn't have even capitalized that. Okay? I trust your, let me do this from this D, right? I trust your judgment is phrase number 2. Now, let's write down real quick before we even get started, let's write down its purpose so you guys aren't confused here. Okay? Okay, so there's a very important, these kind of get a little bit more complex as time goes on, but there's a very important reason for this, okay? See, this is the thing. When you're telling a man, I trust your judgment, you want to make sure that you're doing this the right way for the right reason. What you're trying to accomplish here is you're trying to show him that, hey, I appreciate and recognize your intelligence and your ability to actually make a choice in our relationship for yourself or for the both of us. Similar to number one, where we talked about taking the lead, right? In number one, what you're trying to encourage is the ability to make choices. Now, I know this sounds very simple in theory. You're thinking, why do you care about being smart, making choice? What does this matter? See, remember, you want something as well in your relationship with him, right? And you want to be in your feminine energy, assuming, that's what you're looking for. Okay, that's the type of relationship you're looking for. And if you want to be in your feminine energy, you need him to embody his masculine energy, right? So what does the masculine energy consist of? The masculine energy consists of taking the lead, and the masculine energy consists of also making choices, right? And here's the thing. Making choices is not, you're always going to be presented with different options, but the ability to actually make the choice and just be like, all right, after I analyze all the possibilities and scenarios, take into account what I want, what you want, what everyone needs, I'm going to try and make the best choice for everyone based on the information that I have. That's a skill. So what you're doing here is you're encouraging that skill. You're encouraging that ability. I trust that you are smart and intelligent enough to make the right choice, whether it comes to your life, whether it comes to, our relationship, whether it comes to our eventual family, right? You're encouraging this behavior because you want to continue seeing this behavior. Once again, though, this also accomplishes the goal of touching him in a way that isn't just a simple compliment of, hey, I like the buttons on your shirt. Or, hey, I like your glasses, okay? Anyone can give someone those type of compliments, okay? A stranger can give you a compliment, I like your shoes, okay? You just put them on, right? Maybe you have good style, but you just put them on. Saying things like, I trust your judgment, that's about in here. That's what's always gonna touch a man's heart way more than anything you could say about his shoes or even about his hair. Okay, this is why I want you to take this in and understand why all of these are so important. Because all of these, when done correctly in the correct environment, will definitely be more impactful than I like your t-shirt. Okay, so let me also tell you that one of the errors that is very common to make when you're saying this or making this statement, because I don't want you guys to make mistakes, right? When doing this or come across the wrong way, okay? So one of the errors all right, we don't want you coming across with the men that you're dating. When you make this statement, right, we don't want you to present it as if it weren't for you, I would literally be lost. I would not know what to do. I wouldn't know what shoe to put on. I wouldn't know how to do my hair. I wouldn't even know how to drive a car, okay? Like, you literally are the only reason that I'm able to exist on a daily basis. No. You trust his judgment. However, his judgment and his ability to make choices or ability to make the right choice is not a function of the fact that you are so incapable of making choices and so unintelligent that if it weren't for him making the choice, you wouldn't know how to make a choice, okay? And the reason I say this is because I don't want you to just repeat back what I say 1,000 times and think, oh, well, Tomisin told me to say, I trust your judgment, so let me add some more sauce on it. Let me really pound it home. I really trust your judgment so much, and you're so smart and intelligent, and I'm so dumb that I can't think about anything else, and that you are so smart. No, okay? There's a happy medium here because you want to compliment him in a way that doesn't degrade you, okay? Or degrade your ability to be an individual, right? And that's the mistake here. See, complimenting someone's t-shirt is very easy, right? Complimenting someone's hair or glasses is a lot easier. Sometimes when you start complimenting someone's emotions, their character, the way they approach life, right? You can get into the habit, especially as a woman, of degrading yourself or making it seem as if without him, you can't exist. We don't want that. Because then it becomes, you know, an unattractive thing where instead of you telling him the things you observe or notice about him and his character, you're also simultaneously degrading yourself or your ability to do anything without him, okay? We don't want you to do that. We don't want you to present it as if you would be lost without him. But we want you to acknowledge that you notice the fact that he is capable of analyzing situations and making good choices. And because you take notice of that, you respect his ability to be a masculine man that knows how to make good choices in the relationship, right? Do you understand the difference? Are you guys following me? This is why this is such an important show, and we really actually have to do this live so that I can kind of adjust and help you guys understand why this is so important and how to do this properly. Please do not degrade yourself when you say this, okay? Don't make it seem as if you're so dumb that you can't make a choice, right? But at the same time, you're acknowledging that you respect his ability to make good choices. There's a fine line here, okay? This is where I want to make sure that all of you guys are on the same page as me. Does this make sense to you guys so far? Or do you guys have questions about how to balance this one? This one's kind of a tough one, and I want to make sure that you guys are able to balance this correctly and not do any one of the extremes, okay? Does that make sense, right? Because you can do both, but it is a balance. All right. Trust is very good, right? And telling him how the specific way that you trust him is even better. Just make sure that you don't make the mistake of making it seem like without him, you can't do anything. We don't want you to do that. Okay. Donna says, what was number one? Number one is right above my head on the top right corner of the screen. Just go to my YouTube channel, and when you hop into my YouTube channel, you'll be able to rewind this live stream because I'm live there at the same time, okay? Does that make sense? All right, let's hop into point number 2 here, okay? Oh, that was point number 2. What am I doing? We're gonna hop into point number 3 here, all right? I'm losing my marbles. Okay. I really need a better eraser. Someone linked me to a good eraser on Amazon. Let's hop into number 3. Number 3, any guesses? Any guesses? Woo! Number 3 has to do with memory, okay? So here's the phrase. Okay, so you're gonna say, I will never forget how you blank, okay? Now, obviously, this is up to you on what you wanna input here. It can be anything that you want depending on the situation. Now, I'm gonna explain to you the purpose so that we can understand how to apply this for whatever situation that you're in specifically, okay? So, right? Our purpose here what did I even write here? Oh. We'll do it like this. So here's the thing. what you want to do here with your purpose is you want to reinforce the most impactful actions, specifically though, the actions that you want to be repeated, okay? Because remember, similar to taking the lead and trusting his judgment, you're doing multiple things at the same time. You're giving him a compliment, a little bit of appreciation in a way that's more than just "I like your red shirt," but you're also doing the job of reinforcing particular things or highlighting particular things that you want to continue seeing in your relationship with him. So when you say "I will never forget how you," what I want you to input here is any memory or situation that you guys were in together that you really liked the way he treated you at that time, or you like the way he spoke to you, you like the way he handled that situation, you like the way it should be an action, or it should be some sort of treatment of you or of this relationship. Why? Because you're trying to reinforce that these impactful actions are the most memorable to me. And those are the things I appreciate the most about you. See, you're giving him a compliment that feels really good and feels very, very specific to him. Are you following what I'm saying? But you're also doing the job of reinforcing in his mind the things that are the most impactful and memorable to you are the actions that he takes in your relationship. I said actions, didn't I? I said actions, didn't I? I said actions, didn't I? Right? That he takes in your relationship, right? And you're reinforcing that those are the things I remember the most, right? The way you handled this when we were together, the way you treated me when we were together, the way you went about this when we were together, okay? So for example, you can input in here, "I'll never forget the way you were there for me when, my cat passed away. And how you consoled me and you came over to my house and you baked me cookies and, we watched our favorite show because I was just like not feeling it and I couldn't go to work, and you encouraged me and you helped me get back, mentally, and just keep me like on the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'll never forget how you did that for me." Okay? Right? Just an example of that. And so this is the type of things that you want to be reinforcing so that he says to himself, "Oh, those are the things, right, that you notice the most about me." And when you emphasize it, you're also doing the job of helping him emphasize it in his own mind. Because sometimes people will do things for you and it won't be emphasized in their own mind because they don't know how impactful it was to the person they did it for. But when you can reinforce particular actions or a particular type of treatment, now you're helping to reinforce that thought process and remind him on a subconscious level that, hey, I should continue doing those things because those are the things that my woman appreciates the most. And simultaneously, it's such a good compliment because when you do it like this, remember, you can implant any situation that has happened in your relationship with him. And now it feels so much more authentic and unique to him and your relationship that it can't be replaced with someone else or some other situation. Telling a guy, "I like your toenail polish," is not really necessarily going to apply specific to him. Well, that might be a little bit more specific, right? But you get my drift, right? Telling a guy that you like his t-shirt or like his pants could be anyone, right? And it doesn't really apply directly to him. But saying something like this applies so specifically to your relationship with him that it's impossible to deny how specific and authentic this compliment or source of appreciation is. But at the same time, it also is reinforcing exactly what you want to reinforce. So let's hop into one of the errors that you're likely to make when you're giving this compliment, okay? We don't want you to do this. Please don't do this. And I've talked to you about this before, okay? Please don't do this. Okay? Do not, when you're having this conversation with him or you're giving him this compliment, this phrase, however you want to describe it, do not make it sound like he is the only person that has ever done something nice for you. Remember, I always tell you when we're talking about princess treatment and quality treatment and him doing good and amazing things for you, we never want to make it seem like you're not used to getting treated well. Okay? We never want to make it seem like you accept less than the absolute best in your life, and especially not in your relationships. Why? Because we don't want men under the impression that they're the first person to ever do anything for you, and that everyone else that you've been romantic partners with has been treating you like trash. We don't want that, because men start to say to themselves, why am I the first person to treat this woman like she's actually worth something, and all the other men in her life have been treating her like trash? So we don't want you doing that. What we want you to do is show him the appreciation for the actions he took without making it seem like that's the only time someone has ever done something nice for you, okay? So an example of doing this the wrong way would be saying, oh, I will never forget how you took me out on this dinner date to a nice restaurant. I've literally never had anyone take me to a 5-star restaurant before. I've never had anyone spend $200 on a date with me before. I've never had anyone really even take me on a date. I've only ever been invited to a guy's house to watch Netflix on his couch. So you're the first guy to ever actually take me out somewhere nice and not just immediately invite me to your house to sleep with you. Don't do that. Absolutely, positively wrong. Okay. I know some of you might make that mistake thinking, oh, when I add all the sauce, that's what's going to make it even more impactful. When I make him feel like he's the only one, it's going to make it even more impactful. No, please don't do that, right? When he treats you well, and when you're reinforcing these amazing actions that he took, you want to make sure you don't ever mention, hey, I never get treated like this. I never get nice, good treatment from anyone else, okay? Someone said, who will say that? You'll be surprised, all right? And I have to make this very clear, because sometimes when you meet a guy that's really good to you, or you meet a guy that treats you well, and you're trying to maximize his attraction to you and everything that he does for you, you can start to pour on the trauma dumping or all of the horrible stories about how all these other guys have treated you so horribly while you're acknowledging how well he treats you, okay? Please don't ever do that. Whenever you're in general even acknowledging how well one guy is treating you, do not acknowledge in that same sentence or right after that how horribly other guys have treated you. Appreciate, right? You can appreciate what he's doing for you in the ways that are really impactful and significant, but we don't want you contrasting that by saying everyone else in my life has treated me horribly, okay? Jackie says, why? Because when you highlight how horribly other men have treated you, you make this guy feel like he's the first one to recognize your value. That's actually not a good thing. Unfortunately, value is also tied to scarcity and demand. So if someone feels like you're in high demand, they treat you like you have value because they recognize your value, but they also know other people recognize your value. Vice versa, if they feel like you're in very low demand and everyone treats you like garbage, they start to wonder, why am I treating this person like she has such high value, right? It's the same thing in business. You're obviously not an object, and this isn't business, this is relationships, but I'm trying to help you merge the two and understand how that works that way, right? If you're the first person to pay, let's say Chanel was actually like, let's say you were at a Payless store, right? And you went to a Payless store and you walk in that Payless store and you really like one of those heels at the Payless store and you say, hey, I love these heels so much, I'm gonna be the first one to pay $10,000 for it. People would be like, you're an idiot, right? And you would start to, and if you actually paid $10,000 for those Payless heels and you found out afterwards that those heels were actually worth $10, you'd start to feel really dumb for paying that much money for something no one else would be willing to pay for that much for. But if you walk into a Chanel store and you see a bag for $10,000 and you know everyone else has been paying that same price, you'll be perfectly fine paying that price. So you just have to understand that demand also affects someone's perceived value of you. So you never want to make it seem like, hey, everyone else treats me like trash. You're the first one to treat me well, or as if I have any real value here, okay? Let's go on to number 4, okay? Right? Yeah, number 4. Makes sense to all of you so far? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I hope This is a bit of a complex one, and I know it's not just going to be as easy as just saying exactly what I said, right? You're going to have to apply it in your different scenarios. But look at how they tried to sabotage me. Look at how they tried to sabotage me. Look at what my eraser is doing. It's putting more dirt on the board. Yo, the sabotage is crazy. Look. All right, let me go get another eraser. Just give me a second. Look how they're trying to sabotage me here. Good thing I'm ready for anything. What the hell is this? Look. Someone come look at this. Can this even, what is going on? Anyways, all right, chat, let's go on to number 4. So, number 4. We're gonna get juicier and juicier as we go on, and number 5 is gonna be very juicy, but we'll get there when we get there, okay? So number 4 is going to be an observation, okay? And you are going to be saying, okay. So in this phrase here, you're going to be saying you do blank better than anybody else, all right? There's a very clear purpose to this, and this can be mistaken in many different ways, okay? So let's get right into the purpose of this so we can start breaking this down. Okay? All right. I ain't never written this much since I was in college, all right? All right, so purpose here. You want to emphasize qualities or highlight them that you also want him to put subconscious emphasis on himself. So here's the thing. We as human beings, we're three-dimensional creatures. We have a whole bunch of different thoughts. We even have contradicting thoughts. Sometimes we might think one thing, and in the same breath, we might also think another thing that completely contradicts that first thought, okay? We're complex creatures. I like to say we're three-dimensional creatures. So what you want to understand in us being such complex creatures, sometimes we don't take notice of the quality traits that we're presenting outwardly to other people. We don't always take notice of the way we're outwardly projecting to those around us. So it's great for you when you can understand how men receive things, to understand that you can actually do the job of planting a seed or making something seem valuable, where you put emphasis on it or highlight it, and in the process of you highlighting it, you actually are putting this in his mind and making this like a subconscious ongoing thought that he reminds himself of as the relationship is going on. I know this is a little bit complicated. Don't worry, we'll explain this a little bit more. So you're going to say you do blank better than anyone else. Now, what you're going to input here in the blank spot is you want to say something about his the way he acts, right? One of the qualities you've observed of him in the way he treats his mother, let's say, or his friends, his generosity, for example, right? So let me give you a direct example of how you could implement this here. You do, so you could say you do or you are, right? You do generosity better than anyone else, okay? Or you are so much more generous than anyone else I know. Right after you say this, you're going to give an example of you observing his generosity. Not with you, but it's even more impactful if you can do this as it relates to someone else in their life. So for example, you can say, you are so much more generous than anybody else I know. I remember watching you wrapping this really important gift for your mother that she said that she wanted. And I know how you were telling me that you were going to surprise her with this gift for her birthday. And to just see you put in so much work into making sure that your mom got this thing that you knew she really needed, I have never seen anyone as thoughtful or as generous as you. Okay, right? It's an observation from a third person's perspective, but what you're doing here is you're highlighting that specific quality. Remember, we're doing multiple things at once here. We're giving him things, giving him compliments, so to speak, in phrase form that will melt his heart and really be impactful towards him. But we're also doing the job for you of getting him to continue to show you things that you want to continue to see and feel from him in this relationship with him, okay? So this is a perfect way to do that by highlighting that quality as an observation that you have seen him do in his life. And you're also being so specific by implementing in here anything that you've actually observed recently or in the past since you've known him, that it feels so genuinely specific to him, you cannot copy and paste this for someone else, all right? Does that make sense? Now, let's get to one of the errors that is easy to make. So, very common error that you can make here. Okay? If you make the mistake of making it very, very vague, this will not work well, okay? So, for example, a very vague version of this would be, you do being nice better than anyone else, right? So obviously you'd rephrase that. You say, you are so much nicer than anyone else, okay? Very generic, right? And what does it really mean? Nobody knows, okay? Things like nice, you're cool, you're fun, right? Avoid using very general terms, which is also why it isn't really just this phrase. After this phrase, you also want to make sure you input a specific situation as an example of that character or quality trait that you've been observing, okay? But avoid using very generic adjectives that really could apply to your dog. Oh, my dog, you're so nice, right? That could be anyone. So fun. That could be anyone, right? So cool, right? So easygoing, right? You don't want to make it seem very generic. Try and get as descriptive as you can, right? When you put this in, right? So you can say you do blank better than anyone else, or you are so much more blank than anyone else I know, okay? Right? And this is what you want to do. Like I said, you want to emphasize this behavior, this character trait, this quality trait, these things that you've seen of him in the relationship, that you can be subconsciously reinforcing this in his mind as things that make him feel like, oh, this is me, right? This is who I am. When you step into the Players Club, we do talk about manipulation. And that's one of the things you're going to learn in the Players Club is manipulation. And so one of the parts of manipulation that you learn when you step into the Players Club is understanding that you also, when you emphasize things to people about themselves, they actually leave you remembering what you emphasized. And they start, when you emphasize certain things and certain qualities enough, they start to play a narrative in their own mind to confirm why you said that to them. This is a very strange thing, and I don't want to get too off topic here. But when you plant these seeds like this, especially when you have evidence, right, in examples to tell them how they've been so generous, how they've been so caring or thoughtful or whatever it may be, and you show them that or remind them of that and reinforce that in their mind, when they walk away from you, when they leave you, when they're not with you, they are thinking back, wow, this person that I spend a lot of time with recognizes and emphasizes this quality about me. Am I really that generous? And then what they start doing is they start looking for examples to complete that narrative in their own past and in their own life to confirm what you just said to them. But now that they're building their own subconscious narrative to confirm what you said to them, the seed that you planted in their mind, they begin to say, oh, well, that must be who I am. That's my character. So they subconsciously begin to start to try and embody what they believe other people think of them. It's very strange. This is like deep, deep, deep into psychology. It's very strange, but it does happen, right? So when you start thinking, oh, everyone thinks I'm really generous, there's actually a subconscious effect where you start to believe, okay, if everyone believes I'm generous, it's because I'm a really generous person. So you start to feel like I have to fit that mold that I believe everyone else believes of me. Okay. Kill says it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, precisely. But the person who's actually making it seem like a prophecy is you, by implanting that in his mind, by reinforcing and emphasizing those specific qualities. Okay. I don't want to get too off topic for this. This is kind of like a topic for my second channel. Okay. But you get my gist and why this is important and why this can be a great phrase to use in a relationship with a man. Okay. Let's move on to point number 5. And I will warn you, for point number 5, I'm going to give you guys all a chance. Point number 5, anyone who is under 20 years old, step out of the chat now. If you're under 20 years old, this is no more of your time here, okay? You maybe have to watch a different show, right? I don't know which one you're going to watch. Watch Dr. Phil or something. This last point isn't for any of you who are under 20 years old. We don't need you worried about none of this type of stuff. Go read your books, okay? All right. I hope those of you who are under 20 are gone. Number 5. Are they gone? Everyone under 20 is gone? Okay, I hope so. All right, let's get into the phrase here. So, point number 5 is about a non-sexual turn-on, okay? So what you're going to say, okay, number 5, you're going to say, it turns me on when you blank. Okay, hold on. This is not actually meant to be sexual, okay? This is actually so important. I need you to understand this. What you're doing here is you want to make it feel as if it's doing something to you physically when he does something for you emotionally or spiritually or in your relationship, okay? There's a reason that we want to connect this like this, okay? What you're going to say here is not going to be anything related to sex, okay? Let's get to explaining here, okay? Okay, now I really need you to understand why this works, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you want him to receive from this. So your purpose here, you want to say, I love this so much, I can't control myself. Now, see, this is one of the things you might think to yourself, and actually this is going to be one of the errors here, and I should even put this here, right? The error actually, ironically, is making it sexual, because the purpose here is not actually to have dirty talk with him. What you're trying to do is you're trying to appeal to his senses, or the things that, you know, get his brain actually working. And you want to start connecting the things like when you start saying it turns me on, he's immediately, what turns you on? What is it? It's getting you wet? It's getting you lubricated? Oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. When I do what? When I do what? So now their ears are perked up. This is good though, because this is a perfect opportunity for you to implant some sort of action, some sort of, thing that he does for you, some sort of, a treatment that you can now make it seem like, oh, this is the thing that you do that gets me going. In reality, you're not actually going to make it sexual because that's purposeless. Okay. That's not actually going to serve you. What you want to do is you want to make it seem like the thing that gets you going, that's sexual, is actually this particular action that's non-sexual. Why? Because now that you have his ears and now that he's listening to what you're saying, he's going to be thinking, oh my God, every time I do that, she's wet. Every time I do that, she's turned on. And see, now you're speaking that man's language. But now he's making a connection between whatever you just put in this blank here and you being turned on. Obviously, men like you being turned on. So now they start thinking, I should continue doing that thing all the time. And she's going to be going crazy whenever I do that thing. So someone just said, it turns me on when you pay the bills. Perfect, right? You can put something like that in there. I'm not telling you what you have to put in or shouldn't put in there, but you can put anything in there. But what I want from you is to just don't make it sexual. So don't actually make it something sexual that he does. Make it something that when he does more of that, you'll be very happy because receiving that is very good for you in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be paying for your bills, whether it be, it really turns me on when you take me out on a nice date, or it really turns me on when you surprise me with, a date. It really turns me on when you just say, get ready and let's go here. It really turns me on when you put your hand, I don't know, whatever. You get my point, right? And you can make this, right? You can make this any sort of phrase here or any sort of thing, any sort of action that is non-sexual. You just want to connect it and make it seem like, oh, this is a sexual thing for me. Because now when you're speaking his language, he's listening and he's saying to himself, okay, continuing to do that action will continue to make her very, very turned on, which is going to turn me on, and we're going to have a thing here, right? You want guys, and this is going to sound really weird. This is why I said, if you're under 20, please step out. You want guys to think that your thing is getting treated like a princess. Let's not. Don't talk to anyone about this, okay? We don't want to talk about this. Don't share this with anyone. Don't tell any of your friends about this. This is only for the two of us, okay? You want your men to think that one of your KINKSs is getting princess treatment, okay? So whatever form of princess treatment that is for you, make that your KINKS, okay? Whatever thing you want to consistently see, oh my God, you're lubricated every time it happens. Make that like your thing with him. Now he's thinking, oh, this is dirty talk. When I spend money on you, that's dirty talk. When I take you out on, fancy dates and take you to Nobu, that's dirty talk. When I buy you all these nice gifts, that's dirty talk. Right? And now you're connecting what you want by speaking his language in a way that he understands. And now he wants to fulfill that fantasy of yours to get treated well by doing that thing over and over and over again. It's almost like imagine yourself, and this is going to be graphic, so I said everyone younger leave. It's almost like imagine you're saying, oh, you're hitting the spot. Keep doing it right there. And he's thinking to himself, oh yeah, I'm doing it perfect. She's about to come. She's about to go. I'm the man, right? So you want to make it seem like that. You're hitting the spot when you do blank. Okay? And then he's going to think, oh, this is like the emotional orgasm. Every time I'm about to do this, she's about to come and we're about to go crazy and I'm about to go crazy and I'm about to feel like the man and I am the man and I'm doing everything well. Okay? That's part of entering the Players Club, is understanding how men think, how they receive things, and understanding how to get what you want by giving him something in return. When you can make really impactful statements to him and give him really impactful compliments through your phrases and your wording, you can do multiple things simultaneously. You can make him feel good about himself, feel good about you, the relationship, but also in the process of that, inspire him to continue giving you the type of treatment that you want from him and in the relationship, okay? Does that make sense to all you beautiful people? And do you guys have any questions about the 5 that we just discussed here? Okay. So taking the lead was number 1, trust number 2. Well, these are the things that they had to do with. Number 1 was about taking the lead. Number 2 was about trust. Number 3 was about memory. And number 4 about observation. And number 5 was a non-sexual turn off. Okay. Someone said they didn't get all 5. Don't worry. On my YouTube page, which is just my name, it's above my head on the top right corner of the screen if you're on TikTok. And for those of you who want to go rewatch the points because you missed some of them, just go onto my YouTube page, type in my name, and you'll be able to find me live there on YouTube at the same time. You can rewind this and watch all of the points live and direct there, okay? So don't feel like, you missed out on some of this stuff, okay? Claw says, provider men are hot AF. Right? Then you got to find you a provider man, and then you want to do some of these tips and tricks that I mentioned to you and encourage him to continue providing because, that's getting you all lubricated, okay? Does that make sense? Mary says it actually is a huge turn on being treated like a princess, so I would not be telling lies. Perfect. Because I don't advise you guys to lie. I'm never going to encourage you guys to lie. But it's so perfect when you get an opportunity to merge things together because it's really truthful for you. But it also works because it gets you and accomplishes your goal, right? Or what you want out of the situation. It's perfect when those worlds can merge, okay? Kia says this advice is super easy to follow now due to... Okay. Boys aren't providers. A man is a provider. You don't need to say it turns you on to get it. Well, yeah, boys aren't providers. Some men are providers. I guess if you're thinking men are the serious ones, yeah, those are providers. But this isn't just about men being providers or not being providers. It's also about understanding how to encourage particular behavior through your words versus how, you might discourage it through your words as well. But in this case, we want to encourage particular behavior so you can continue seeing it all the time. Rogue says, I need a big dog. Trust me, you can get one. You can definitely get one. You can definitely get one. Kyle says real men are providers. I mean, I will hope so. I will hope so. And we trying to get all of you there with the providers, with the big dogs. Okay. We trying to get you there with the big dogs. So Jackie says, why does men want to know stuff about you before they want to date? What do you mean? Who wouldn't want to know stuff about you before they date you? Okay. Does that make sense to all of you? All right. So let's hop into, let me also answer one of our donations here. So SM donated $5 earlier. She says, I've been dating a guy for 3 months. A month ago, he said he didn't need time to be single, but I said I did. I'm ready now, but I don't know how to raise it. If you tell a guy that you needed time to be single, that's perfectly fine. And if you're ready now, that's the thing. Just because you're ready now, that doesn't necessarily mean that someone else was supposed to wait on you to be ready. So then essentially, SM, unfortunately, my answer to you is there's not much you can do. Because if you're ready now and he hasn't approached you, again, saying, hey, I'm ready, will just be you approaching him, and you'll start off on the wrong foot in terms of pursuing him. So you might be able to, if let's say you guys share the same friend group, if he sees you again, or you guys are able to cross paths again, then you have a chance to maybe talk to him and update him on where your life is at. But aside from that, I will never, ever, ever encourage you to be pursuing men. And unfortunately, if you're going out of your way to talk to a man and say, hey, by the way, just letting you know I'm ready to date now, it's too forward for where I want you to be as a woman, which is in receiving mode, getting approached by men, okay? If he really wants you and you guys cross paths again, I guarantee you he will ask for an update of where you're at mentally and whether or not you're open to dating at this point, okay? If he's not that interested anymore, or maybe he's moved on to another person, then he might not ask, in which case you can't be too bothered about that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right, chat. Let's hop into our next segment. Okay, it's our React segment. And in our React segment, I react to TikToks that you guys send to me to respond to and watch. And they're all about relationships and things like that. So we discuss more. and we react. So spam up your headphone emojis, spam up your camcorder emojis, spam up your baby oil emojis, and we're gonna react to some TikToks here. In a second, I'm just gonna clean up this dirty board. I need to get a new eraser. And in the process of me cleaning up this board, putting my chair back in so we can get to our next segment, I'm gonna play us a little intermission video. Today's intermission video comes from Steven Speaks. The title of his video today is "Do These 3 Things and Men Will Respect You While Dating You." We're gonna watch this intermission video together while I clean up, and then I'll be back in just a moment, all right? Steven Speaks, take it away.
Help you understand the secrets to being taken seriously when dating. And number 1 is date quality, not quantity. All right, so what do I mean by this? Let's start with the dating in quality, all right? We have to understand that when we date, I don't want to say people who are beneath you. That's just wrong, okay? But when you are dating people who other individuals can clearly see this is of a lower quality or a lower caliber of person that you should be dating, it reflects poorly on you. Now, granted, everyone doesn't always get to see who you date, but you'd be surprised how word can get around or how individuals that you don't know are paying attention and seeing these things. Or how in some situations, people find out because the world can be small sometimes, all right? And you could date this one individual and it turns out their friend is the cousin of your other friend who knows this person who works with you. And through that pipeline, they find out that's who you were dealing with. Now, let me make this clear. This can go both ways, men and women. But I want to give you a quick story of one time where there was a guy and he was dating this girl. And he viewed her as like, oh my gosh, this could be the one, all right? And so much so, he was doing everything in his power to be the most upstanding guy he could ever be. He wasn't trying to have sex with her. He was showing her all the effort and energy that she was looking for. I mean, this man was head over heels. So he's in this process trying to make things happen. And I can't remember how long into it, but at some point, he ends up talking to a friend who it turns out he knows the girl that the guy I know is dating. All right, I hope you're keeping up with this. But and he reveals to him other men that she's been dealing with. And if we're gonna be honest, not only was she dealing with these or had dealt with these other men who, again, in his eyes was garbage men. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. But she slept with them and there was some other things. Now listen, we can always say that there are people out there who lie and who don't always tell the full story. But that's not the point of this. The point is, after he found out who she dealt with and how far she went with these individuals, she went from dream girl, the woman he thought he could spend his life with, to just another woman he was going to try to sleep with. Now, I know the sleep with part is not healthy. It's not good. Again, that's not the point. The point is the quality of people you date can come back to haunt you, all right? But not only in how others perceive you and others finding out this information, but also in the fact that you can now develop bad habits by dealing with these types of individuals. You engage in unhealthy situations or in situations with people who, again, engage in unhealthy behavior, however you want to put it, and that can rub off on you. It's kind of like being an athlete, being a basketball player, and you keep practicing shooting the ball wrong, and then you think when you get into a real game, you're gonna actually shoot the ball right. It's like, yo, you're developing a bad habit by dealing with these people and more than likely engaging in that same unhealthy behavior. Because let's face it, when we're in those casual situations, when we're dealing with people that we aren't serious about, it's very easy to now not bring our best. It's more than likely that we won't. And in doing that, we now start to develop those bad behaviors as well. Or start to develop a skewed perception
You're all ready. Let's hop right into our first video, which comes from this man.
All right, so let me get this straight. You invited me out to come to eat, and that was not even my idea. That was your idea, right?
Okay, and the problem is?
Let's restart, because I seen it.
All right, so let me get this straight. You invited me out to come to eat, and that was not even my idea. That was your idea, right?
Okay, and the problem is?
And I'm offering to pay half, but you want me to pay the whole thing?
I'm the woman. I shouldn't have to pay anything. Yeah, I invited you out because I wanted to go out. That doesn't mean I have to pay.
No, this was your idea. Actually, I don't even have to be a gentleman to pay half of it.
Because you're going to pay it all.
But this was your idea to come out. You're the one that invited me out.
And you're the man, so you have to pay the bill.
Says who?
Says me. What do you mean?
In what book is that written in?
It doesn't have to be written. That's just a rule.
This is my card right here. I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to pay half of the bill. How much is it? Hold on.
You pay the whole bill or you sleep on the
300
couch.
300.
You pay the whole bill or you sleep on the couch.
I ain't even trying to go to your house. I'm trying to go home. How about that?
All that takes the man, so you have to pay the bill.
Says who?
Says me. What do you mean?
In what book is that written in?
It doesn't have to be written. That's just a rule.
This is my card right here. I'm trying to tell you.
That doesn't. I invited you out because I wanted to go out. That doesn't mean I have to pay.
To pay the whole thing?
I'm the woman. I shouldn't have to pay anything. Yeah, I invited you out because I wanted to go out. That doesn't mean I have to pay.
Here's the thing. There's a very important caveat here that is so important to understand. And it's actually the exact reason why I tell all of you, do not approach men. Let them approach you. Okay? Because when you put yourself in a position where you are the one asking a man to to go out with you, or, spend some time with you, you immediately take yourself out of your feminine energy, and now things become very blurry. Because when you're inviting another guy out and saying, hey, do you want to go out on a date with me? And then he shows up and he says, wait, you invited me out to go on a date with me. Why do you expect me to pay? It wasn't like I asked you to or offered you to go out with me. I just said yes to what you asked me. And it becomes very confusing. And the roles become very confusing. Meaning you are supposed to be in your feminine energy receiving. That becomes very confusing because you took a masculine approach and went and asked him to spend some time with you to get to know him. And vice versa, he's supposed to be in his masculine, but he had a feminine approach because you were the one that approached him to ask him to go out on this date. And so I'm not saying that to say you're a bad person if you approach men, but you can immediately begin to kind of confuse the roles there. Okay. And I don't know whether this was a skit or whether this is like a real thing. Either way, there is a lesson here. And the lesson is don't approach men. Okay. Use your body language and your ability to flirt without actually going up to him. And I've talked about that in other shows to actually attract them or invite them to you. But do not go up to men and say, oh, I think you're cute. My friend, or have your friend go up to them and say, oh, my friend thinks you're cute. You're putting those men immediately in a feminine role where all they have to say is, oh, sure, you think I'm cute and you want to go out on a date with me? I mean, sure. Then they show up with, nut stains on their pants. They show up unshaved, looking like they don't give a damn because they don't, because you're the one that is trying to get to know them. And so all they're doing is receiving. Don't do that to men, and don't do that to yourself where you're, in a bad situation because of that. All right.
Ladies, the next time the man that you're talking to tells you, I just want to be friends, you reply to him with, thank God you said it first. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Now he's mind fucked, and you just gave him back all his self-confidence problems. Ladies.
That's funny, but don't do that. It's funny though. But don't do that, okay? I'm never going to advise you guys to just cause chaos for the purpose of being toxic. If a guy tells you he wants to be friends, just stop messaging him, okay? We want you, right? See, when you join the Players Club, I'm gonna hammer home some points that you'll never forget. Do not waste your time or energy in any places that don't serve you. If a guy tells you he wants to be friends, cool. Block, delete his number, never speak to him again, okay? Just move on with your life. Don't try to start playing games. Oh, I can out toxic you. I'm gonna do something to hurt your. Move on.
Ladies, I can tell you why these men stay toxic instead of healing and settling down. I can tell you
Do I know this girl? She looks very familiar, like I know her from somewhere. Anyways.
why. Not only is it easier because healing is hard, but also it gets better results. As somebody with an avoidant attachment style that it tends to act kind of like a lot of men do in these relationships, I can tell you that being a little bit toxic, being a little bit inconsistent, being a little bit unavailable yields better results. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I'll give you an example. I went through a phase in 2022 where this is going to sound really bad, and I hope it's not too many men in my comments, but I went through a phase in 2022 where I would start talking to guys and I would like give them a little attention, you know, like, okay, I like you, you know, we messing with each other for real, it was cool. And then as soon as they would do something that like made me mad, I wasn't really mad for real, but as soon as they did something that made me mad, I would block them and then I'd make them pay me to unblock them. Is it right? No. But did it get them to act right? Yes. I touched on this a little bit in the video I posted the other day, and I'll say it again. Most people, whether man, woman, or somewhere in between, most people are attracted to some level of inconsistency, some level of unavailability, some level of toxicity, because it's what they're used to, it's what they saw growing up, it's what feels comfortable for them, whatever it is. But most people are drawn to that. Acting like you don't care, acting like I could do without you, I really don't care about you that much for real. For most people, again, it's not everybody, but for most people, that is going to activate in them a sense of, oh, I need to do better, I need to try harder, I need to impress him or her, I need to make sure that they can't let me go. And for someone who is super unhealed and is not concerned with ever healing or settling down at all, it is somewhat satisfying. I'm not proud of the way that I have done some of these people. I'm not. Was it fun? Yes, but it was wrong. It was wrong. All I'm saying is I kind of get it.
I've never actually heard that before. So I'm learning something new today. Have any of you all experienced this? You block someone and you make them pay you to unblock them. Wow. Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to knock the hustle. So here's the thing, though, and that I want you to understand. You know, a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the Players Club, where I talk about, you know, being unavailable to guys, not allowing them to take up all of your time, telling them no, right? It's not that. I want you to understand that not everything is meant for every phase in the relationship. So some people that might be more attracted to you in the beginning because you're more unavailable to them or because you're more mean to them, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that forever in the relationship at that same level of intensity, right? Certain things you can scale back or scale up depending on where you're at in the relationship. When you become closer with the man that you're dating, obviously you're not going to be available to him 24/7, but you can be more available to him because there's more commitment, right, in this relationship. You can also be more nicer to him or appreciative of him because there's more commitment. Vice versa, though, if there's less commitment, right, if there's less consistency, you want to scale back on a lot of the giving because we don't want you giving when you're not receiving anything, okay? So that's one of the things that I want you guys to understand, because I know when you guys hear advice like, oh, all the men like it when you're mean, or all the men like it when you don't like them, you might start thinking, well, every single portion or part of my relationship with the man, I should always act as if I don't like them. Even though that's slightly true, there is still a caveat to that, right? So obviously things have to kind of change and adjust as the relationship changes and adjusts, but I'm here to help you balance that and understand those different type of phases, okay?
If a guy were to ask you to split the bill on a first date, do not panic. I'm going to show you exactly what you would do in this scenario. Oh, you're broke, I get it. No, I think I left my wallet in the bathroom actually, so be right back. And once you get home, you go ahead and you start a GoFundMe, bitch. You name it Broke Man with a Fucked Up Hairline. You send it to everyone he follows. Yeah. So it to his coworkers, his barber, and his mom. So she knows she raised a little bitch. You don't even need to flee the country. You don't need to change your name because he's too broke to follow you anywhere, bitch. You're safe. You're fine. If a guy were to ask you to split the bill on a first date, do not panic. I'm going...
Some of these videos y'all be sending me actually do be funny. If a guy asks you out on a date and he doesn't want to pay for it, I would agree. Just don't waste your time on that guy, okay? I don't even, just don't waste your time. I don't think that there's really, even if I was talking to guys, I would advise them don't ask a girl on a date if you don't want to pay for it. It's just like the space you have to be in to ask someone out to spend time with you and then say, hey, I'm going to make you pay for it, or you should pay for it. I just feel like it's weird, okay? Anytime, even with a friend or a family member, if I say, let's go out on me, my treat, and I'm asking you to come out and spend time with me, it's my treat, right? It's not, I'm not going to ask you to spend time with me and then say you pay it's just weird, okay? But whatever. Ignore those men. Don't have those men in your life. Do what she did, maybe less dramatic, maybe more dramatic, however you want to do it, that's on you.
What if we only text on Instagram? We are almost to date 3. Welcome to the Daddy Academy. This goes
Nico, you better be as angry about this as I am.
for Instagram, Snapchat, or if you've already gone on a date and you're still messaging on Bumble or Hinge or something. If he's not texting you using his phone number, then who is he texting using it? Guys communicating through these apps after you've already met and hung out before, that's a lower level investment of communication, okay? He's keeping you separate from the phone number, which is a higher level. Like, oh, you have my phone number? We are now dating. We're going on dates. This is more serious. If he's only communicating with you through Instagram or Snapchat, that is a lower level form of communication. Is it okay to communicate through Instagram or Snapchat every once in a while? Like, of course, yeah, while also texting, especially if you've met this guy in person, you're going on dates. If you don't have his number and he's only communicating with you through Instagram, that's a pretty decently sized red flag in my opinion. What if we only text?
Please, chat. Okay, I want to make this a very important caveat. What Nico said, I 100% agree with. But also, what Nico said, I want you to take notice of when you're dating guys, you're not going to go out and then say, hey, we've been going out for a couple of weeks and you're only messaging me on Snap. You should get my number now. No. Right? We're not going to tell men, oh, do this, do that. This is how, treat me like this, treat me like that. No. You're observing. So when you see that he's only messaging you through Snap and, you guys have been going out or you guys actually have met in real life now and you still are just messaging back and forth, especially through Snapchat, okay? Or still through Instagram, that's something that you take notice of and then say to yourself, if we're supposed to be at the level where we're supposed to be serious and you're still messaging me on Snap, that's an issue. And you might have to decide at a certain point, I'm just going to withdraw myself because that's very strange behavior. I'm here to tell you, like as a guy, that is strange behavior. To be dating someone and only messaging them on, especially if he's only messaging you on Snapchat and you went on multiple dates with him, just get him out of your life, okay? That's 100% chance he either has a girlfriend or he's married, okay? Because if he's using Snapchat while dating you, just trust me, it's not good. But even if it's Instagram, and you've been on multiple dates with this guy, that is very, very, very strange behavior. And the reason it's very strange behavior is because conveniently, if he doesn't want to talk to you or he doesn't want to receive messages from you, all he actually has to do is delete the app. And then magically, if he happens to be with someone who he doesn't want to see those messages come in from you, all he has to do is delete that app. Messages, you can't delete, right? Or at least you can't delete the app, right? So I say that to say, take notice of that. So if you start noticing that and then you're dating a guy and you notice other behavior that might make you believe that maybe something else is going on that you're unaware of, use that as information that you then say to yourself, oh, this is a guy I shouldn't even be messing with, okay? Black Hair Duke Hair says, what about WhatsApp? Well, WhatsApp could be used for many different reasons, right? Because some of you might be living in different countries. And so you use WhatsApp as a form of communication because you actually can't text them. That's different. That's where you have to use discernment and understand, hey, if they're using WhatsApp because they actually can't message my number, that's totally different from being able to live if they live in the same city as you and, you know, they've seen you multiple times and they can get your number and message you, but they're choosing to only message you on Snapchat and never asking for your number. That is that's like a completely, what's more than red? That's hot red, okay? That's like hot pink or something like that, okay? Let's hop into our next one. Let me make sure I have all of these here saved. Okay, let's go into our next few here that you guys sent to me. Oops, that's me. Where did these go here? Okay, so this one comes from Benny. Benny and Nico look so much alike. Sometimes I think they're brothers.
He is not going to chase you. If he is desired by any besides your ass, he's not chasing you, ladies. Any guy with self-respect will not chase. He will only pursue you. He will only start showing interest. But he really starts pursuing you when he actually likes you. So it's too early for you to talk about he should be chasing you. He should not be chasing you. You ever notice the guys that actually chase you get like, oh God, this guy again. You want the guy that you have to start showing interest to even get him to start coming back to you. That's how you start to show a healthy thing of interest. See, chasing implies that you're running and he's following. That don't work, and nor do you want that. You want him to show a little bit of interest and take a little bit of lead, but if you don't reciprocate that lead, he's out. Why is he out? Because he has other options too. And matter of fact, that level of competition actually makes you step up your game, because you're going to have to step up your game to get any man of quality and substance, ladies. Now, you don't have to. You can wait for the one to pursue you and chase your ass down a block, but I will tell you this, and I will tell you it very clear. You won't like or respect that dude who keeps chasing you when you keep running the other way. He will show you interest. No reciprocation, it's tata, mama.
You know what? I like Benny because I disagree with him, but he can articulate his points in a clear, concise manner. And even if I disagree with them, at least, you know, he just communicates well, which I actually appreciate. We should have Nico and Benny on a show, all three of us, okay? We should do that one day. Now, I disagree wholeheartedly with everything that Benny said here, simply because, though, I feel like there's a little bit of a misalignment or a misunderstanding between what some people think chasing means and what some other people think chasing means. My own perspective on chasing, I interchange chasing and pursuit to mean the same thing. Some people take chasing to mean, oh, you're desperate for me. And in the process of me being desperate for you, I really need you to like me and want you to like me. And I'm begging you to like me. Okay. I don't consider that to be chasing. Okay. And so that can be a little bit misconstrued or misunderstood. Now, I think every man should be pursuing. I don't think men should be desperate for a woman that doesn't like them, but I do think they should be pursuing the woman that they do want. So if we were to swap chase for pursuit, then my answer is, and I hope Benny's answer would also be 100%, if men want you, they should pursue you. Because realistically, if you're having to pursue a man in order for this relationship to work, you're already embodying your masculine energy, because that's not what you should be doing. The men should see you, meet you, understand or recognize that they want you, and then they should be taking action towards building a relationship with you. And then in the process of that, you decide, is this someone that I like? Is this someone that I find interesting? And if you do, yes, of course, you show him some interest back, but you're not of the business of pursuing that man in return, because there can only be one pursuer, right? The relationship is like a rope. So if you're doing more of the pursuing, he can only do less of the pursuing. If you're doing less of the pursuing, now he has space to do more of the pursuing. Only one person at a time can be doing pursuing, and it's like a dynamic there. It's fluid. And so you have to understand, every time you take a step forward, you're actually forcing that man to take a step back. So Benny's advice is good if a guy is in a position where he doesn't want to have to do a lot of work, because then if that woman feels pressure to take a step forward, now what does the man get to do? He gets to pick and choose which woman do I want to be with, right? There's no process of pursuing or working for that woman. So it works for the men, but unfortunately, it's horrible advice for you because you put yourself in a position where now you're competing with other women for the attention of a guy. You turn into a pick-me-sha, and then he probably overlooks you and picks someone else anyways. So a lot of time, energy wasted pursuing a guy who doesn't even show you any of that interest back. Doesn't really help you much, right?
When you are really beautiful, only ugly and basic men will flirt with you, because actual good-looking men have bigger egos, and when they are trying to flirt with someone as beautiful as you are, they are so scared of rejection, and rejection actually hurts them a lot more than it would with just a normal basic man. So if you're always out here questioning why it's only basic ugly guys that are flirting with you, don't ever take it personally like you're on that low level as well. I feel so bad, but yeah, it's just because good-looking men try and pursue you in different ways. They try and indirectly approach you, or maybe they'll see you on a night out and they won't talk to you, but then they'll message you when you get home because it's less intimidating for them. Basic and not good-looking men don't really have big egos, so they don't fear rejection, and they probably don't even process rejection correctly. So even when you make it clear that you're not into them, it's never going to upset them that much. They're probably used to it. They most likely approach the most amount of people ever. Basic and ugly men are probably the ones getting with the most girls because they have the confidence to actually approach people. I think if you are a really good looking person, a lot of people are not going to try and approach you because they just think that you're not going to be interested in having a conversation with them. So if you always find yourself not flirting with your target market because your target market seem to not be interested in you, it actually might benefit you to make the first move, to break the ice with the guy who's actually your type, and then he'll get the go-ahead, the green flag, and he'll realize that if he does try and pursue you, he'll get success. When you are really beautiful.
Chat, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Those of you might not see it because you're on TikTok, but in the hashtags, he says, you know, he's a happy boy. Okay. That's actually one of his hashtags in his thing here. So he obviously is dating men. Nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. I think because of his experience, he's a little bit misguided to your own reality here. The issue with that is you pursuing men will never yield you the result that you're looking for, okay? In other situations and maybe in other relationship dynamics, that could work, pursuing the men, and maybe for him, that's his experience, that pursuing the men has worked for him, okay? Or showing them a little bit of interest back. But the moment you start thinking, maybe that guy doesn't realize that I'm interested, so let me do things, go up to him so that he recognizes that I'm interested, you're doing it all wrong. Because even if we break down the kind of the way that he's approaching this or what he's talking about, he's saying approach the people who don't approach you because those are the attractive ones and they probably aren't used to rejection. So you should approach them first to make them know that you're interested in them. Well, now you're approaching someone who likely gets more people coming up to them because they're more attractive. So how are you supposed to stand out? And how are you supposed to not be on the offensive when you're approaching someone who's very attractive and has other people going after them? You're kind of like playing all the wrong sides and presenting yourself all the wrong ways that you don't want to be perceived as when you're in a relationship, right? Amor said, now she's chasing him, precisely. So what do you do now? Because you're the man. You like wearing pants? I hope you do, because you're wearing them now. Okay? Steven, love you. But I think that was a little bit misguided for the women that are dating men, okay?
Most women don't want men like me. We offer boring love. They want to be, that's the boring, cheap love I offer. They want
cheap dates equals cheap life. If a man is only going to buy you a coffee on the first date and think he's going to impress you with whatever's coming out of his mouth, he's wrong. We don't have time to waste on cheap dates, okay? Life's too short to go on a cheap date. What if that was your last date? and you get in a car accident on the way home, can't walk no more, paralyzed in a wheelchair, you're going to think about the last thing you did. Oh, I went on a cheap date. Oh, no. Was it worth it? You know, when you leave your house to go meet someone on a date, you risk your life every day. You going to risk your life for a cheap date? No, I'm not. Just think of it like this. I'm not risking my life for no cheap date. A man will risk his life for sex every day and all day. A man will risk his life for a cheap date because he know he might get some. But a woman don't. Women don't risk their lives for stupid stuff like that. Okay? When we walk out of our house, if you walk to the date, you might get robbed. If you drive to the date, you might get in a car accident, get a ticket, something. And I'm not risking my life for no $4 coffee. Okay?
Okay, but let's add to that though. Let's also make sure that you don't go out on the expensive date and then assume that that guy actually wants to invest in you long term because it's an expensive date. Go back home with him, drink some expensive wine, get drunk, and then sleep with him on an expensive bed, and then get sent home in an expensive Uber, and then never get ghosted by a guy who's took you on an expensive date. Okay, I'm all for those of you who want to get your money, get your guy with lots of resources, get you a rich man. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. What I'm also saying is when we join the Players Club, recognize that players are both poor and rich and middle class. So don't think that you stop getting played simply because you start dating rich men, okay? All the things that we talk about, all the information, all the knowledge, it still applies to rich men because they can still play you as well. In fact, they have more resources to play you if they are rich, right? So take that into consideration and don't think to yourself that you're home safe simply because a guy who's rich is dating you or is asking you out on a date. Because when you have that mindset that you're all so focused on the money, you can't think about anything else but the money, you will easily get played by the rich men on an expensive date. Okay, let's go on to our next one.
This is how you make him obsessed with you, by breaking his routine. I graduated with a degree in psychology, and when I tell you this works, I've tried it, it's insane. I talked about this girl a long time ago named Ellen Burshid on one of my other accounts. She talks about how romantic love happens when there's a lot of arousal. Without me or you knowing it, we all have a routine. We wake up, we either go to work, after work, we'll go to the gym or something. No matter what it is,
I stream.
We are built in a routine. What you're gonna do is break it. In order for this to work, you're going to need to stay committed to it. You need to text this person. Also, you need to be bold. So if you are not willing to be bold, this is not for you. You must ask questions that in your head may not seem important, but trust me, to a guy, it is important. For example, one time I was talking to somebody who was talking about like what they meal prepped for work. Questions that you don't think is important, but to a guy is like, no other girl would ask me that. And obviously conversations will get more juicier as it goes. You can play like question games to spice it up and get more comfortable with each other. The whole motive here is to be different. That's what you want to be. You do not want to be like every other girl being like, oh, you go to the gym, what do you work? No. Let's do something a little more unusual. Ask him what's on his nightstand, or ask him what side of the bed does he sleep on. Without both of you guys knowing, you guys are both leaning into a conversation that can be very flirty. It's also just a known thing in psychology that men need a lot of stimulation. Think about the reasons why they play video games so often. That's why they play sports. That's why they go to war. Go to part 2. This is how you make him obsessed with you, by breaking his routine. I graduated with a degree.
Okay. Asking questions is always great. I will never say that asking questions is not a good thing to do. And I think that there's a way to ask questions and there's a science to it. And you always want to be making sure that in the process of you asking questions that you're being a good listener, an active listener, making people feel like you actually care about their answers or what they have to say, and encouraging them to talk more. You never want to be making a face while they're talking or sharing that they think that what they're saying you don't approve of. That's not good. So I think that there is a lot of truth to that. and asking questions the right way. There's also a wrong way to ask questions. We've talked about that on my show before. But I definitely think you can actually, as weird as it sounds, get someone obsessed with you by getting good at asking a lot of questions, because then they become obsessed with the dopamine hit of being around you and getting to talk about themselves. And they actually end up feeling closer to you because they're sharing so much about their own life, their own interests, their own things that they care about. And then if you take it a step further and you ask questions about things that most people wouldn't, now you're even getting more specific and more deep in places that he wouldn't regularly be talking about, okay? Which is always great, right? And we've had shows on it before about asking great questions and how to do that, all right? All right, chat, I'm laughing at some of your comments there. All right, let's hop into our next segment of the day, which is you should know what that segment is. All right, chat, let's hop into it. Spam up in the chat if you know what the next segment is. A very important segment. It's an amazing segment. We have lots of fun in this segment, and it's just about that time. It is a special time. It's a unique time. It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry, okay? Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your home, okay? If you still don't know what time it is, I'm going to tell you the time. All right, chat. Let's hop into our Discord section of the show. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what Discord time is essentially where all the amazing members of the Players Club get an opportunity to ask me a question about their situationship or their relationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there's a few ways to submit your question here to me. You can submit it through the link in my bio on TikTok, or you can submit it through the link in our description on YouTube. Go to our Discord, click that Discord link, and then you go here to our free section and you're able to ask your question along with everyone else. And I answer it on a first come, first serve basis in the free section, okay? So you see all these highlighted questions here. Those are questions I haven't gotten to yet. So it is going to take me about a week or so, a little bit over a week, to get to your question if you ask yours today. So keep that in mind when you're asking your questions, just so that you know that there is a line here. Now, if you are impatient and you want to get your question answered ASAP and you want to skip the line because you don't want to wait for yours to get answered, you want it today or, by tomorrow, you can also submit your question via our Relationship Advice Premium section, and you get access to this section by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description. You click where it says Premium Relationship Advice, and then there you get a chance to ask your question, but you get to skip the line of people and you don't have to wait. And I answer it first before I go into our other sections. All right. So you can do that. Now, the third way to submit your question here, if you also want to do this, is you can submit it through our private relationship advice link. That's in our Discord. It's also in the TikTok link and the TikTok bio link and in the YouTube description, where you go there. And when you go there, you can type out your question, send it to me. But this time, instead of it being on the show, I'm the only one that sees it. I'm the only one that responds to you, and I respond to you via your email, and I send you a voice message to give you advice on your relationship issue there. So you have 3 different ways to ask your question or submit it. And this way you get to be way more detailed so that I can answer it very, very specifically for you. All right. Let's start off here with, these were... Oh, did we do this? Trying to see. I'm trying to read this if we did this yesterday. When is the exclusive sale? Okay, I think we did this yesterday. Yeah, we did. We did. Can you come back from this situation? Oh, from being angry. Yeah, we did that one yesterday too. All right. So let's go into our free section. Sorry, some of them were popped up. I just wanted to make sure I didn't skip. Okay. So Sis says, advice for my best friend. Hey, Tomisin, my best friend was going out with multiple guys from Hinge. Like 10 of them she had pineapples with. And they stopped talking to her after a few of them she tried talking to, but they weren't interested after they had pineapples with her. Why don't you send her the show? Then one of them seemed obsessed with her via text from before the first date. He took her out, and the first date he bought her shoes, posted her on social media, and she didn't like him a lot because she doesn't like guys that are too nice, so they had pineapples and she slept over. What? How does this sentence start with she didn't like him and then end with so they had pineapples and she slept over? Why do this? I know it's your friend, but why? Why? Why sleep with a man you don't even like? Why not save that time and energy? But the next day, she said that was too fast and he had no problem waiting. One of his friends swiped up on his story after he posted her and told, one of his friends swiped up on his story after he posted her and told him he had pineapples with her, and the dude that swiped up was so ugly. So she told him it was a dark time. Oh my God. This is a horror story. And she was bored. Oh my God. Oh my God. Did she actually say this? I hope you're paraphrasing here. It was a dark time and she was bored and he understood and moved on. I hope you're paraphrasing and she didn't actually say she was bored. He later becomes obsessed with her, door dashing her food, so she gets fat. Isn't this supposed to be your friend? She gets fat, said, wait, what? He said, and oh, that's what he said to her. So she gets fat, he said, and less guys want her. There weren't any guys going after her, and she told him this, but he always assumed there were. What is your friend doing? And when she didn't respond, he'd call her over 70 times. What type of relationship is this? He would beg to take her out. He'd buy her a lot of things and then have no money of his own and eat noodles. What is going on here? Okay. Mind you, this was an above average 22-year-old, so I don't know why he was acting this crazy. He sent her vids of him crying. She got sick of him and blocked him. Then he'd go to the bar she went to and beg for her to unblock him and introduce himself. And then he also went out with a girl, but she texted my best friend about how he was talking about her the whole time. I was wondering how he's so obsessed with her when she had pineapples with him and slept over on the first date. Also, the advice she is asking for now. So around the time she was with the crazy guy, me and her and the crazy guy had gone to this event, and one of the guys she went on a first date with off of Hinge. Sorry, my head hurts. Let me read that again. Me, her, and the crazy guy had gone to this event, and one of the guys she went on a first date with off of Hinge. To be honest, it was just a walk, but they talked 3 hours. Apparently, I'm so confused. Are there 4 people on this date? And 2 of them are guys she's talked. What the? Why are you even there? But they talked 3 hours apparently, and she liked him a lot. Saw her with me and the crazy guy. Chad, are you confused or am I the only one confused? She said hi to him and texted him after, but he was very dry and didn't ask for a second date. Fast forward to summer vacation. After she blocks the crazy guy, she sees the one she likes at a bar. They vibe, and he says he didn't respond to her before because he wasn't ready for a relationship, but that she's worth it. Clearly not that worth it that he would actually want to be what? They go back to her place and have pineapples. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. If your friend is asking for advice here, I'm gonna be real. Your friend has a problem. Like, this chronic sleeping with all these men she meets on Hinge is not even like we're not even talking about just messing up your relationships. Like at that point, this is like a self-worth thing, because this is insane. She can't be sleeping with every guy she meets on Hinge. That's actually ridiculous. Then for like 2 months, it's just them Snapchatting and talking, and she invites him sometimes to hers to have pineapples. And why aren't you talking to your friend about self-respect? Okay, you also should be in her ear, telling her she should respect herself a little more than this, because this is actually insane. And he declines sometimes and sometimes accepts, and then he invites her to have pineapples sometimes as well. She then asks if he wants to be exclusive, and he agrees. I'm gonna stand up for a second and take a second. Just take a second. Oh man, it's a sad day in the Players Club when someone is asking. Do not ever ask men to be exclusive. You're not a man. Okay? It's not your job. I know this is your friend, sis, that you're talking about, but I hope she's watching. He was very low effort though, so I told her to leave him and find someone better. You should have slapped her in the face. That's what you should. She needs a wake-up call. But then one time when we were hanging out, she told him about the crazy guy, and all of a sudden, this dude stepped up. He asked her out on a bonfire with his friends and introduced her to them. This was the first time they'd gone over to the house. And the next week, took her out pumpkin carving, and he told her he wanted to do more than just pineapples with her and see if they'd vibe. I think you might say the next day he went out to the bar with her. At the bar, she said, wait, what? And she said hi and had a small convo with this other guy she had pineapples with. Is this a joke? Is your friend actually sleeping with this many men, all in the same area and vicinity? That is insane. That is absolutely asinine. Who used to have a crush on me? I hope you're not looped into this foolishness. This is insane. And took me out on a date, but after I rejected him, he added her on social media and had pineapples with her. Oh boy. After that, they studied together. How does she have any time to do anything? She's sleeping with so many men. How does she have? She just wakes up and sleeps with men. No diss, but like, at a certain point, it's getting ridiculous. How many men can she meet and sleep with, right? And none of these are her boyfriend, and none of these are men that are really taking her seriously. At a certain, like, how does she have time for anything else? Once and got free food from the dining center at your school on campus with his campus card. I'm talking about the guy who used to have a crush on me. I don't know which guy anymore. They're all guys that she slept with. It was weird, but his friends knew about her from him, and she found it weird because they just had pineapples once and studied and ate together. I agree, it is weird. He'd tell his friends about her. This is all weird, all of it. Anyways, the guy she liked got protective. He put his arm around her and kissed her. He was very drunk, and he admitted the reason he stopped talking to her before was because he saw her with this crazy guy at the fest, which is weird. Because didn't you say it's good if we talk to other guys in front of the one we like? Not if you're sleeping with all of those men. This is a very weird situation. Okay? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Anyways, he was on... Wait, what? He was on his lap on the way home. Sorry, she was on his lap on the way home, and he kept talking about how beautiful she was and how he'd fight 5 guys for her. I'm going to skip ahead here. Let's see here. There was no way a guy can like a girl if they have pineapples with her on the first meetup, but it didn't happen to her because he was obsessed with her, and it seems like this guy is starting to actually like her as well. Okay. So all in all, I'm not skipping because I don't like your question, but we do have to get to the point here. What do you think? And also, what advice should I give her on how to act with this guy she's talking to right now that she likes? Okay. I'm going to be real with you. Unfortunately, everything you said has to be ignored because the real answer to your question and what your friend needs is she needs a cleansing. Okay. She needs an energetical and physical cleansing away from men because it's okay. There's nothing. I know that I tell you guys not to go on dating apps, but I won't tell you you're a bad person for using a dating app. I understand why you use it. That's not the problem. The actual problem is if you're using the dating app so chronically that you're meeting people off the dating app and then you're sleeping with them on this chronic regular basis, this becomes dangerous, like a danger to your actual health and emotionally just draining. And traumatizing, to be honest with you, because not only is your friend sleeping with the guys she just randomly meets on Hinge, but she's actually sleeping with all these guys in the same area to the point where she's spending time with one guy she meets on Hinge and going out and meeting other guys there at the place, at the bar or wherever she's going that she's also slept with from meeting on Hinge. This is horrible. Like, this is horrible. And you will never... We can say for now, this one guy that she's talking to wants her and wants to be with her after, still knowing that. But I guarantee you at a certain point when he actually does get her and he actually is in a relationship with her and all of his other guy friends are saying, bro, don't you know she slept with this guy and this guy in your math class and this guy in your science class and this guy at the bar and this bartender and this, right? And at a certain point for men also, it becomes overwhelming and embarrassing, right? As it would be for anyone. No one wants to have everyone telling them, hey, your partner slept with that person, your partner slept with that person and that person and that person, right? And any person, any regular human being would eventually get fed up with that, right? It sounds cool and it sounds like an episode of Euphoria when he says, I would fight 5 guys for you at once, right? That sounds like a nice little episode of Euphoria. But at the end of the day, eventually, if he has some self-respect, he starts to say to himself, well, this is kind of like, this is annoying now. Okay. And I'm starting to wonder, okay, I know that you're sending in this message for your friend because you're concerned about her, but I'm also wondering, how come you haven't had this conversation with her? Because you should be having very, very intense conversations with her about how she's treating herself and going about her own life and the level of self-respect she has. Okay. Because this is like a sit down conversation. This is like one of those interventions that, you know, when your friend is really down bad or doing something really wrong, that you sit them down and say, look, we have to have a conversation about your life because you're doing this all wrong. You can't sit by and co-sign any of this stuff because none of this is she's gonna be very traumatized and scarred by continuing to do this. It might be cool for now because you're all still young and, you know, this guy seems to like her, but eventually, like, these things are, regardless of guys knowing about her past, these things are going to traumatize her because it's not going to feel good when she starts to feel so used by all of these different men, okay, or taken advantage of. So I actually think this is like an intervention that needs to happen between you and your friend, where you need to sit down and ask her, like, what do you want for yourself? And why are you doing this to yourself? And if she doesn't, you know, want to have self-respect for yourself, you might have to actually distance yourself from her, because unfortunately, as her best friend, you're actually co-signing the things that she does by continuing to stand by her while she does those things. So you can actually end up, and this is going to sound really strange, you can actually end up hurting your own reputation by standing by her while she chooses to live her life like this. Especially if you don't agree with it, and especially if you guys are all going to the same school. All rumors spread very easily on a university or college campus. So everyone is hearing stories about her and what she's doing and the guy she's sleeping with. They're also going to be, because they're seeing you with her all the time that they see her, they're going to start associating you with that behavior. Right. And if you start talking to someone else, in which I believe that you are, right, you have a whole boyfriend, you can start making the mistake of allowing your reputation to get sullied by standing next to someone who has a horrible reputation. So if she's choosing to live her life like that, and you're going to be her best friend and you're going to stand by her in that, just understand that those same aspersions or those same stories will be then cast onto you. And if you don't like the sound of that, or you don't want that to be your reputation, then you're going to have to start choosing some different friends. Unfortunately, that's just the way of life. And that's just the reality of, you know, friendships and how people will perceive you. We talk about perception a lot because it's a reality of relationships. Okay. So I actually think that it's intervention time for you and your friend. Okay. That you have to sit down with her. Let's go on to our next question here. I know Sis sent a second question, but I want to give other people a chance to get their question answered as well. So we'll come back to that one tomorrow. Okay. Let's go here to Kay, who says, is it a lost cause, or should I give it another chance? Kay says, one of two. Since the last time I messaged in here, I ended up unblocking the guy. I was the girl in college who met a guy and was in a situationship where we told each other we didn't want anything serious. After blocking him in May, we haven't spoken at all. It's been 6 months since we last spoke. I blocked him because I felt it was best to do so because it was hard to move on, but I'm over it now. A couple of days ago, he requested to follow me on Instagram. I have a private account, and sent me a message. Hey, I didn't respond, and it was like that for 3 days. After that, he ended up texting my number saying, "Are you okay? Did you forget about me? LOL." LOL, you did. That's what you should have said. You should have said nothing. Need to talk to you, of course. I did not respond, as you shouldn't have. Then he ends up calling me. I don't respond. He called me 4 more times. I decided to text back and say, "What's up?" after he calls. While we're on the phone, he says he misses me and asks if I forgot about him. I did not want to answer that, so I just said, "Okay, so what did you want to talk about?" He kept trying to bring it up, and I said, "No, it's been like months. I've been going on with my life," and he's like, "Okay." Then he said we could have watched a Halloween movie together, but I told him I had plans for that night for dinner with friends because I did. He asked if I missed him at all since then, and I just said, like, "Okay, this is what you wanted to talk about." He's like, "Well, I wanted to pick you up. I wanted to pick up where we left off." And I'm like, "What's to pick up?" Then he's like, "Do you hate me?" And I said, "No, I just moved on with my life because it wasn't going anywhere with you. I still cared for him regardless of how things ended. It's just he had a tendency to pop back up like nothing happened, which I could not fake, so I was a little mean in my responses. No, you're just being real. Okay. He would always say I needed to be humble, and I think it's because I saw through his actions and did not contact him after he would ghost me. He told me in the past girls would go crazy after a situation failed with them, and I never lashed out on him, as you shouldn't. So he asked if we can date again, and mind you, we never dated, so I said no, why would we start dating again? He said so we can talk like we used to, and I can talk and hear your voice every day. I'm like, no, we cannot. And he's like, can we just be friends then? I said, okay, because we had to rebuild the trust between us instead of rushing. But he said he would call or text me the next day and would be better this time. He doesn't live in my college city anymore, and I'm pretty sure he graduated because he was older, and he was in his last year when we started talking. But he said he would drive up here to see me because he lives close, but again, it's just a lot of promises. So my question is, should I give it another try? Can situationships change after failing to reach a relationship stage? Since then, I have come to terms that I do not want a serious relationship, and I haven't jumped into another situation with anyone else. Like your last advice, you said not to say I didn't want anything serious when I actually did. When the question came up. And I'm open to talking to him again because I still do have feelings for him. But I have been really honing in on myself and focusing on my life. I started journaling and painting as a hobby, and now I'm working, so I have structure that keeps me busy. So I'll be fine either way if he isn't serious. But I would be lying if I said I didn't wish things could work out. Thanks in advance. Update, he hasn't called or texted. It's been a week. Should I take this as him not being serious as he said he was? Perfect. I'm so glad we got a chance to update this. My answer is very, very simple to you. Block and delete his number forever. Okay, forever. Let me explain something to you that will happen with guys. Okay? They will sometimes mess with you. So, they'll play around with you, play around with your feelings, play around with your emotions. You'll get tired, sick of it. You'll just be like, whatever, this is not for me. And you'll kind of walk away. You'll rebuild yourself, rebuild your life. You'll start moving on. They will start to feel like you've moved on because you're not reaching out. You're not messaging him. You're not, worried about him or what he's doing, right? Because most girls will get anxiety and they'll start desperately trying to hold on to the relationship. When guys realize that you actually just move on with your life, they're like, oh my God. When I pull away, I'm so used to women coming closer to me, having anxiety and messaging me a bunch. Like you mentioned here, you were one of the first girls in his life that when he essentially pulled away from, you never lashed out, you never went crazy, right? Like he told you past girls would go crazy and you never lashed out. So now that he's experiencing the fact that you didn't lash out, he's thinking, oh, damn, maybe I'm not as important to her as I thought I was. And ironically, and this is going to sound horrible, he literally then goes on to call you simply to recognize if he still has power over you. It's funny too, as well. The guys that will play you, waste your time, and ignore you when you actually want to hear from them, those will be the same ones that do what he did, which is call you multiple times, text you multiple times, over and over again until you respond. Because they can't fathom the idea that when they want to talk to you, reach out to you, or speak to you, that you would ignore them or not want to speak to them. So they call you because they feel entitled to your time. When you answer, right, he then goes on to essentially try and recognize his power over you. He's not telling you this sob story because he actually wants to be with you again. He's telling you this whole sob story about how he wants you and, he misses this and misses that to hopefully get you hooked again. That's what I want you guys to see. Guys like to get you hooked back again, believing that, oh my God, maybe we will be together. so that you can start saying things like, oh yeah, I would appreciate that. Yeah, I did like the time that we spent together. Yeah, I do like you. Then he knows, I wasn't tripping. I am amazing. I am like a god. She does worship me. She didn't, not lash out because she didn't like me. She just didn't lash out because she was doing some other things, but she still wants me. Soon as they get the ego hit, they say, good, thank you for the ego hit. That's all I was looking for. I will call you never. They hang up the phone and then they never speak to you again. Okay? So your best bet in any of those situations, right? And you did the right thing, right? You did the right thing. Obviously, you didn't know what he was going to say and you answered the phone, but you did the right thing in not validating him as much as you possibly could, okay? Because when he was fishing for those compliments, fishing for that validation, you gave him nothing. What he left you with was the possibility, the hope that maybe this might turn into a relationship, right? But once again, like you mentioned, there are just a lot of promises. And he showed you through his action after that, right? Because all I would have advised you to do was to wait and see. He showed you after that he was not at all serious about anything that he was saying there. All he wanted to do was get you hooked back again and see if he could get that dopamine hit, that ego boost of knowing that you want this badly still. That's all he was looking for. And you know that because now after that conversation, he never followed up. Imagine saying how much you want someone and want to be with them and then all of a sudden never following up. Like, just understand that it's just a load of baloney. And now that you have experienced this with him, know that there is never any scenario or situation why you should respond to any of his calls or texts after this. So now at this point, just block and delete him. And if he ever tries to reach out to you again, just completely, totally ignore him. Because now he had his opportunity to come back and show you that, he wants to do things differently, and he didn't. Okay? So he doesn't get that chance again. So from the rest of the time on now, you're never going to speak to him or respond to him ever again. He had his opportunity. He wasted it. There you go. Okay, let's go on to our next question here, which comes from Dolce, okay? Oh, boy. Dolce says, am I cooked? Oh, no, I think we did this one. Yeah, we did this one. Dolce said, am I cooked? And we answered hers in premium, okay? Okay, Sick of This says, potential breadcrumbing. She says, hey, Tomisin, first of all, I love your content so much. I'm 25, never been in a relationship, never been on a date, never been asked out. Okay. I'm from a conservative Muslim country, so this was normal there, and I was mostly okay with this. It isn't like people didn't date, though. But I get not being approached because I look intimidating. I'm pretty and successful career-wise, and don't talk to guys a lot because I'm shy. Plus, I can't talk to them without them either being nervous, which makes me nervous too, or flirting with me and making me feel like an object. But recently, I moved to NYC for my school, and I'm feeling the lack of love in my life. I have several hobbies, passions, and I'm busy most of the time, but I'm craving someone that I can share this life with. I get attention here too, but probably because of my looks. I dress modestly, but it usually But it's usually from the guys in class who are either committed or not bold enough to actually pursue me. Okay. I have attachment issues from a traumatic childhood, but high self-esteem. So I don't act out, and I'm cold towards these guys, i.e. only talk about class, treat them as I would treat my normal friends, sometimes colder. But if they breadcrumb me, it really, really gets to me. I had a massive crush on a guy in my class, and initially I gave him a few signs that I was interested. First, I just sat next to him, and sometimes he caught me staring, and I smiled. Also, this is the one time he suggested we discuss our work outside class and said, let's plan something, but he never followed up. So he's just not serious. I found out later that he has a girlfriend. So I completely shut it off. Okay, good. However, I think he's attached to me now. Why are you saying this? Why are you saying this? Because he does the same little things like showing up where I am. Intentionally coming and sitting next to me every class, staring at me, watching me for my reactions to things he says or does, always being nervous around me. He also asked if anyone is going to X or Y event in the group chat, which I think is directed at me. Once I told him I'm not going, and he instantly said he isn't either. Another time I said I'm going, and he instantly replied he'll see me there. Chat, do you see it or no? So it's hard for me to let him go now. Ah! I need to take a second. I don't understand how. Oh my God. I don't understand how do we how do we go from you recognizing that this man has a girlfriend and now you're, what are you talking about? It's hard for you to let him go. Oh my God. Why do you want to waste your time on a man who is in a relationship with someone else? Why? I don't, I want to help you, but I just don't understand why. I get that he's giving you some attention, and I get that it feels nice to get attention. But what do you think is actually going to come from this? Like, what are you actually imagining in your mind is going to result out of this? Do you think he's going to break up with his girlfriend and be with you? That will never happen. Delusion is such a powerful drug, man. That I know we could be a thing, it gets worse. But at the same time, he told me in conversations that he has a girlfriend already. So I don't even know what his intentions are. Are you joking? Are you joking? What do you mean you don't know what a man who has a girlfriend's intentions are? What do you mean you don't know? You're unsure of where he stands? You're unsure of the status of your relationship with him? People tell me he just wants to be friends with me. Maybe finds me interesting. Who cares? Who cares what he even thinks? He has a girlfriend. Why do you want to be a second-class citizen? Why do you want to be someone's second priority? Why? Why do you even want to entertain the idea of being someone's second priority? What do you think that says about your self-esteem? You said earlier in this message that you have high self-esteem. That's not high self-esteem. But I don't believe guys do all this for friend crushes. First of all, you don't have a crush on your friend. That's not how that works. Second of all, who cares? And I mean who cares from the standpoint of who cares what a guy who has a girlfriend thinks of you? Why don't we focus on, first of all, investing in yourself, but then also having self-respect that you are only going to entertain a guy who is willing to put you as his number one priority, not a guy who can have a girlfriend and then flirt with you on the side. Also, I can't just be friends with him. What do you mean? I'm far too attached. Let me get up again. Boy, I tell you, boy. Boy, I tell you, boy. Oh, God, I tell you, boy. I got to do like Kai Cenat, have like a 24-hour stream, maybe do a 30-day in a row stream. He said, the guy that has a girlfriend. Let me stretch it out. Let me do downward dog and things like that of that nature. Oh, boy. Sick of this said, I'm too attached now to be friends with him, even though he has a girlfriend. Boy, I tell you, boy, I tell you, boy. I'm so sad over this because I have no idea where to find good men. Are you joking? Do you actually think the only good man on earth is the man with a girlfriend that will flirt with you on the side? I think I'm losing my mind, chat. And he's the only person I'm getting any real attention from. I thought you were attractive. What happened to that? You're telling me as an attractive woman, the only man you can get attention from is a guy with a girlfriend? Pick your dignity off of the floor. The rest just stare. I go to events and activities and push through my anxiety to socialize and look friendly, but I have still never been approached. Okay, that's fine. Okay, your life is not simply about men approaching you and telling you you're hot. All right? Your life is worth more than just what those men think of you and whether they approach you or not. Okay? Don't put so much stock in whether men are approaching you or not. It's the exact reason why I tell you guys, go to places that you actually enjoy. Don't just go to places so men can approach you. Because then you're going to put so much value in whether they approach you or not, and you're going to feel like you're wasting your life if they don't. That's not how you should be living. In NYC, can you imagine? It's okay. You have lots of stuff to do. Why are you even worried about... Let's go on. I don't want to get too mad. I'm so tired now. Do you think I'll ever find anyone? You live in the biggest city in North America. How? Where do I look? You live in quite literally the biggest city in North America. And you're asking... I also can't avoid him. You live in the biggest city in North America. We're in class together and we will be in the same program for some years. Cool. How many people are in that class? Do you talk to every single one of them? I guarantee you don't. It's definitely possible to ignore someone you share classes with. Okay? Definitely possible. Also, you're talking about how impossible it is to find good men. You live in the biggest city in North America. There are so many. If you are living in some rural area, Iowa, you're living in Saskatchewan, you're living in Wichita, Kansas. I actually used to be there for school. Or you're living in somewhere super rural. Then I could at least say, okay, maybe you live in a small town, it's hard to meet new people all the time. You live in quite literally, the biggest city in North America with the largest, densest population. There is so many different characters you could meet that just live in your building, let alone people all around the city, within blocks of you. There are so many events to go to, so many parties that you could go to, clubs that you could go to, weird things going on the street. You could go to street parties that you could go to. There is always something. You live in the city called the city that never sleeps. Oh my God. The city you live in is called the city that never sleeps. And you're telling me you can't meet any good men there. And you think the only man available to you is the man who has a girlfriend. Shed yourself of the delusion. It has sucked you down a rabbit hole that it's become very dangerous for you. That you actually believe while living in the biggest city in North America with the most dense population, titled The City That Never Sleeps, that there are no good men there for you to find. You have the most access to the most men, right? I'm not saying they're all good, but you have so many different options and things and people to meet that aren't just this guy. So the idea that he's the only guy on this earth is absolutely ridiculous. On top of the fact he has a girlfriend, why would you even want to entertain the idea of being being a second-class citizen to his girlfriend, or hoping that he chooses you instead of his girlfriend? Sick of this. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of your delusion. Okay, I love you and I want to help you, but your delusion is hurting you right now. Because see, you're sending in this message, but I can tell as your anxiety bubbles, you're going to start thinking, well, because he's the only man on earth, I've got to start doing more things so he'll notice me. You're going to turn into a pick-me-sha. It's already bad that you're even thinking about, and you're not thinking about it. You want to entertain the idea of having him be with you, right? Or him see you or want you while he has a girlfriend. And it's even worse because you feel like, well, I'm not going to meet anyone else like him, and I'm going to have to be in a program with him for, the rest of these 4 years or however many years you're going to be in this program. And you're thinking, oh, well, I'm going to have to talk to him. It's wrong. What I want you to do, actionable items here, I want you to make it simple for you. Go to TikTok, type in things to do in NYC. You're going to be populated with millions of videos. Just scroll, find something interesting that you like to do. Where are your friends also? Where are your girlfriends? Why don't we go out and explore NYC with some of your girlfriends? You have so much to do here. Why don't we start going out to places that you enjoy with your girlfriends and finding out some other things that you enjoy other than just going to class? I promise you, when you start going out in NYC, the biggest city in North America, I guarantee you'll meet some new people, you'll come across some new friends, and you might even meet a really nice guy that you never imagined yourself possible to meet. You want to know why? Because when you step out of your house and you start doing things, the possibilities are endless. I know it sounds impossible, but I guarantee you it does work like that. You live literally in the city where every romance novel is based, because that's where the most random occurrences can happen and the most random meetings can happen, because there's everyone everywhere. Don't tell me a sob story about how you can't meet any good men when you live in the biggest city in North America. I don't want to hear it. Okay? I'm going to be real with you. You go out, you start doing things for yourself, spend some time doing things you can enjoy. There's lots to do in your city. And you go spend some time outside of your delusion where you think that the only good man for you in your life is a man who's in a relationship in your class that doesn't even acknowledge that he wants to be with you. That is ridiculous. Okay? All right, chat. That's the show for today. For those of you who want to send me a question, feel free to send your question in our relationship advice premium section, or our free relationship advice section, or our private section. Those are all available in the link in my description on YouTube, or the link in my bio on TikTok. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is right up there on the top left corner of the screen. It's just Tomisin_Tub. For those of you who are on YouTube and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is in the link in the description on YouTube. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show because you missed it, or you missed some of the points, or you came late, my YouTube is just Tomisin Atobatele. You can type in my YouTube page and you can go and explore my YouTube page. And when you go into the live section on my YouTube page, you're going to be able to see this live stream along with all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And the best part is you'll have the YouTube and the TikTok chat embedded in the video, so you won't miss even a second of conversation that we have here on the show. All right. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to catch me at that time, that is the time you will catch me. So I'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. Figure out what time that is in your time zone. And I also want to acknowledge Nicole's donation here in our YouTube chat. Nicole says, "We love you, Tomisin. Please breathe, stretch, and stay hydrated." Sending some Auntie Nicole love. You are so very wise. Please keep doing the great work like only you can. Thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole's like our top donator. I appreciate you so much, as I appreciate all the rest of you as well. I'm going to try to stay hydrated after a question like that. All right. All right, chat. I'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, goodbye for now. Arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, adios, sayonara, ciao, salam, bon voyage. And I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I love you. Lots and lots and lots. Okay? I'll see you.